Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive.
It was the summer of 1955. The sun was hot over Mississippi. Cotton fields stretched for miles. Life in the South was divided by race. Black and white people lived in the same towns, but in completely different worlds. 14-year-old Emmett Till lived in Chicago. He was a cheerful boy. He loved to joke. He loved music. He was known for his bright smile. He had grown up in the North, where life was still unfair for black people, but it was not as strict and violent as the South. In August 1955, Emmett traveled to Mississippi to visit his relatives. He was excited. He wanted to see his cousins and experience country life. His mother, Mamie Till, warned him before he left. She told him that Mississippi was different. She told him to be careful. She told him to be respectful to white people at all times. Emmett promised her he would behave. A few days after arriving, Emmett and his cousins went to a small grocery store in Money, Mississippi. The store was owned by a white couple. Inside was a white woman named Carolyn Bryant. The boys later said that Emmett had been joking and bragging that he had white friends in Chicago. Some say he may have whistled. Others say he said something playful. The exact words are still debated. But in Mississippi in 1955, even a small interaction between a black boy and a white woman could be dangerous. When they left the store, the boys felt nervous. They knew the rules of the South. They knew that crossing racial lines could bring trouble. A few nights later, in the darkness of early morning, a truck pulled up outside Emmett's uncle's house. Two white men got out. One of them was Roy Bryant, the woman's husband. The other was his half-brother, J.W. Millam. They were armed. They forced their way inside. They demanded to see the boy from Chicago. Emmett's uncle tried to calm them. He told them the boy was just 14. He told them he meant no harm, but the men did not care. They took Emmett from his bed. They dragged him outside. His family begged them to leave him alone, but the truck drove away into the night. Emmett Till was never seen alive again. For hours and then days, his family waited. Fear filled the house. In Mississippi, black families knew what could happen, but hope still remained that he would come back alive. 3 days later, a body was found in the Tallahatchie River. It was tied with barbed wire to a heavy cotton gin fan. The body was swollen and badly beaten. One eye was destroyed. A bullet had been fired into his head. The body was almost unrecognizable, but on his finger was a ring. It had his father's initials. That was how they knew it was Emmett. When Mamie Till heard the news in Chicago, her heart broke. But she made a decision that would change history. She demanded that her son's body be brought back to Chicago. And she demanded something else. She demanded an open casket funeral. People warned her not to do it. They told her it would be too painful. They told her it would be too shocking. But she said she wanted the world to see what they had done to her son. When the funeral took place, thousands of people came. They lined up for hours. When they looked inside the casket, many cried, many fainted. They saw the brutality. They saw the cruelty. They saw the face of racial hatred. Photographs were taken. Black newspapers published the images. One magazine, Jet, showed the world the horror. Those pictures traveled across America. For many people, especially in the North, this was the moment they could no longer ignore what was happening in the South. Soon, Roy Bryant and J.W. Millam were arrested and charged with murder. The trial began in September 1955 in Sumner, Mississippi. The courtroom was divided. Black people sat in one section, white people sat in another. An all-white, all-male jury was selected. Emmett's uncle bravely testified. He pointed at the two men and said they were the ones who took his nephew. It was a dangerous thing to do. Speaking against white men in Mississippi could cost a black man his life. Other witnesses spoke as well. But the defense argued that the body found in the river was too damaged to prove it was Emmett. They tried to create doubt. The trial lasted only 5 days. The jury went into the room to decide. Just over an hour later, they returned, not guilty. Some later said the jury only took that long because they stopped to drink soda. The two men walked free. The courtroom filled with smiles from the white community. But across America, anger grew. A few months later, protected by double jeopardy laws, meaning they could not be tried again for the same crime, Bryant and Millam sold their story to a magazine. In that interview, they admitted they had kidnapped and killed Emmett. They showed no regret. The injustice was clear, but something had changed. Young black Americans were watching. They saw what happened. They saw the unfair trial, they saw the cruelty, and they felt something rise inside them. Just a few months later, in December 1955, a woman named Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. She later said she thought about Emmett Till. Her arrest sparked the Montgomery bus boycott. A young pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. became a leader of that movement. The civil rights movement began to grow stronger. Emmett Till's death became a symbol. His name was spoken in churches. His story was told at meetings. His face became a reminder of why change was needed. For years, the case remained a painful memory. Mississippi tried to move on without addressing it. But history does not disappear. Decades later, investigations reopened. New evidence was examined. The case was studied again. In 2004, the U.S. Department of Justice reopened the investigation. In 2005, Emmett's body was exhumed for a new autopsy to confirm his identity. The truth was confirmed once more. In 2007, a woman named Carolyn Bryant Donham admitted that parts of her original story were not true. Some of the accusations she made against Emmett were exaggerated or false. But by then, the damage had been done. A 14-year-old boy had lost his life, and a nation had been forced to look in the mirror. Today, Emmett Till is remembered not only as a victim, but as a turning point in American history. Museums tell his story. Schools teach his name. Laws have been proposed and passed in his memory. In 2022, the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act was signed into law, finally making lynching a federal hate crime in the United States. His mother once said that she wanted something good to come from her pain. She wanted her son's death to mean something. And it did. The murder of Emmett Till did not just take a life. It sparked a movement. It opened eyes. It pushed a generation to stand up and say enough is enough. A boy who went to Mississippi for a summer visit never came home, but his story changed America forever, and even today his name still carries power. Because sometimes history turns on a single moment. And in 1955, that moment was Emmett Till.
Subscribe to Crime Loom and join us as we unravel